Hello, everyone. Welcome to the very first live stream AMA of 2025. We have a really exciting year ahead. 2024 was incredible. If you didn't catch it, go to our X page, our Twitter page. We posted a recap of 2024, all of the exciting moments, and we probably missed a few. Honestly, the thread was getting really long. So go and add your favorites in the comments if you haven't already. And yeah, today we're gonna run through kind of like thought process around what's coming in 2025. There's a lot on the horizon. We've big ideas ahead, big plans ahead. I will mention my Wi-Fi and Loop's Wi-Fi has been a little finicky today, so we're gonna do our best. Bear with us if something happens or whatever. We have to go off camera. We'll figure it out. Popcorn is being placed as we speak. I've been pinging the team. We'll get it done. Relax. We're good. We're here. Here's Luke. Let me go check on.
Hey, everybody. No, I'm super excited to be here today. So I didn't really tell people because it's bad OPSEC, but I actually took a little bit of time off over the holidays. I'm coming back super recharged. A member of my team yesterday said that I looked very weathered and exposed to the elements. I was pretty much out of service for a few days. So yeah, it was great. I'm excited to get back though. And yeah, now we're diving into 2025. So I've got a lot of time to reflect on my time off on how 2024 went, some of the things that we can do better. I also have been kind of going through and crunching some of the numbers of 2024 lately too. So we'll share those with you guys and how we're doing, like what the stats are, some of the metrics and what we've been thinking about. And then we're also going to dive into 2025 and kind of the high level roadmap today, and also the short-term stuff that you guys have been waiting on too. So yeah, I guess let's dig into it. So I think the most anticipated like updates from the community right now revolve around the game balance updates that we're going to be doing. So yeah, team is on track to get those out in January. And essentially a lot of the painful things inside of the game right now involving like land, industry limits, item XP rebalance. They're all shipping together. It's going to be a really big update. It's basically going to change the way that you play Pixels day to day completely again. So do get ready for that. And yeah, it's exciting. We did a landowner AMA a couple of weeks ago, like right before I took some time off. And landowners and land, I feel like, are the heart of Pixels gameplay. And I feel like that's the thing that's kind of hurting the most inside of the ecosystem right now. So these updates are kind of centered around fixing core Pixels game economy. Basically, what we had to do is we had to take everything from Chapter 2 and go out and redo it, which is not super fun, very painful, and it's taken us a little bit longer than we wanted to. But it's almost done. We basically have all these changes in our testing and preview environments now, and we just want to make sure that they feel good. We're having some farm hands and things like that test them pretty soon if they're not already now. And yeah, we'll start to get those live and out to you guys in January. Heidi said not to say dates, but I hope that's less not as specific enough. But yeah, I mean the team directive right now is that's probably the highest priority thing that we're working on. We have to get these game balance updates out. It's been way too long. The users really need them. You guys are feeling the pain of this like core gameplay not being balanced, and it's blocking all the other cool stuff that we want to be doing in 2025. So until we fix this, can't do anything else. But 2025 is going to be pretty fun because we have more team resources now. We brought in a few more people into the team, and there's kind of like 4 pillars that we're focused on. So let me kind of fill you in on our thoughts here before we start answering some questions. But when I think about future Pixels in 2025, basically I'm thinking about it in like 4 different areas. I'm thinking core gameplay as pillar number 1 and the most important pillar inside of Pixels. We need to make core gameplay better, more engaging, more fun. Now that we're getting through these balance changes, that means we can finally start to add new features and focus on things like Chapter 3. So the team's been talking about Chapter 3 a lot and what it's going to be looking like. It's still kind of in the idea stages, if I'm being like honest and transparent. But what we're kind of thinking about is we want to kind of actually probably integrate more crafting loops that might even tie into things like Pixel Dungeons. So stay tuned for that. 2, second pillar is we're going to be focused more on content. So content means things like events, but it also means your day-to-day experience inside of Pixel. Things like new industries, all of these tiny landowner changes people have been asking for. So things like dropping salt on waterlands again, adding pet care tasks into the task board. And then we can even start to do some cooler things like adding in narrative and world building, some lore, some other things like that. The third pillar that we're focused on is data science and platform. So if you follow me on Twitter, I posted something about how basically every great infrastructure company, how they work is they normally build a product first. I speak too fast.
Sorry, I also changed the font thinking it was a good idea, but I might go change it back. This is enormous. So BRB.
No, I like it. Yeah, so data science and platform is the other side of things that we're focused on, the third pillar of Pixels. So what that actually looks like is we've been putting a lot of work into play to earn technology, right? And I say this a lot, and I don't know if it always gets through to people. One, what I'll say is we're rewriting our white paper completely. So we'll have a new version of the white paper out, hopefully by end of month. And what that's going to include is basically everything that we're doing here, these 4 core pillars, and our kind of plan for data science, play to earn tech, opening that up, and even things like staking. So we're also kind of going to start positioning Pixel as an infrastructure play as well. Now, we're not building out the rails for games when it comes to actually like getting a game live, but we're most interested in building out infrastructure for play to earn. So what that means is we've been very focused on reward targeting, making sure that Pixel goes to the right users. And we're really only in the like beginning to middle stages of this. You're going to hopefully start to see some new changes roll out in the next like month around this. We have most of the stuff ready to go for the first version of smart reward targeting, which I've been talking about for so long. I'm so excited to get it out. There's going to be more iterations over this. So basically what this looks like is your task board is going to get smarter. We talked about this. I think you guys understand what that looks like at this point. But we've also talked about reimagining what the task board looks like completely. So what you're probably going to see in this quarter in Q1 is we're probably going to do Task Board V2. And it's going to look a little bit different, play a little bit different, and feel a little bit different than what the task board looks now. It's also going to be complemented by a feature called Merchant Ships, which is actually not too far away. That one, I don't know if it's going to get out in January or early February, but we're like basically in the final stages of that feature as well too. Now there'll be new ways to earn, but essentially what we want to do is we want to make it so that makes a lot more sense for who's earning what, that we give out less tokens to bots and we give out more tokens to good players. This ties in with reputation. It ties in with all the stuff that we're doing in Pixels ecosystem, all the ecosystem projects that we're working with, ties in with blogging with Pixels. It's a pretty cool unified vision. And what's interesting is after we start to get Task Board V2 out for us, we're going to start to probably experiment with seeing if we can power the back end of play to earn tech for other games too. It's interesting. I've been talking to a lot of other game founders, and I'm actually pretty surprised at how few of them know how they're going to distribute their tokens after TGE. It's actually kind of crazy. So high level, just imagine a system where the same tech that we're using at Pixels, which we use to make Pixels better by giving you guys better rewards, making it so that we can fund the game more, and making it so that we can get further to play to earn progress, is augmented by other games as well too that aren't even necessarily in like Pixels ecosystem or Pixels portfolio. So it's going to be pretty cool. It's also a really interesting way to build out new revenue streams for community treasury. Imagine if we took 1% of tokens given out through the back end that we're doing in another game, right? So Pixels community treasury starts to build treasury of other tokens. There's some cool stuff there. And then pillar 4 is ecosystem. So we're still investing even more in ecosystem, and maybe that's where staking plays an even larger part. Today, I just announced that we're actually going to be introducing Pixel staking into the ecosystem. And if you guys have followed Pixels for a long time, you know that I've been actually pretty anti-staking for a long time. But I've been anti-staking in the way that we see staking in many ways inside of Web3 right now. I don't like staking for APR. I think it basically shoves the can down or kicks the can down the road a little bit. So what you see in a lot of Web3 ecosystems is they kind of emulate treasury bonds for staking. So basically, you put in a certain amount of tokens for a certain day, you're guaranteed APR. I've never liked that. I've never liked that form of staking. I think it's actually just kind of debt in a way. The staking that we're going to introduce, we're going to dive into probably more in the next AMA or the one after that. But it's going to be cooler is what I'll say. We'll basically offer some perks in game for staking. And then also it'll have to do with governance as well. And it'll probably kind of change all the pixel emission structures. Essentially, what we're trying to do as a whole, and this is something that we're talking about as a theme across Pixels right now, is we want to introduce more metagame layers inside of Pixels. So there's different people you have to build for inside of a Web3 game, right? And there's you guys, the core player base, who are playing the game every single day. There's also a ton of players or people inside of Web3 that are actually probably interested in participating in the Pixels ecosystem. We haven't made it so easy for them to do that. They're probably not going to be the same people that play inside of the game, but there's different meta games that they can play and participate inside of the ecosystem. So that's kind of what we're thinking about with staking. It's going to be really cool. And I don't want to share all the details around that because we're kind of wrapping up what exactly it's going to look like. But ideal situation, and this is, do not hold me to the state, but we want to get staking and governance out at around the same time, right? Because these two things tie in together very tightly. So yeah, those are the 4 pillars. The first pillar being core gameplay, the second pillar being content, the third pillar being play to earn tech or data science, and the fourth pillar being ecosystem. So in addition to other things in the ecosystem, we're also still publishing and acquiring more games. The pet game I leaked in the Landowner channel in our Discord, I think yesterday or the day before. That's on track. I think we're probably gonna get an MVP out in around March. So that'll be fun. I'm very excited about that. And then there's so many other things we're doing here too. I think what we're thinking about Pixels right now, we're really trying to figure out one, like how do we start to get to the next level again? So we hit 1 million DAU at one point inside of Pixels. Then we started to focus more on the fundamentals of Pixels, right? We didn't become as interested in DAU as we did some of the like key metrics that you want to look at inside of the game, which maybe I'll share with you guys in a few minutes because I think it's cool to look at this. I just kind of did all the spreadsheet work last few days too. So how do we get to that 1 million to 10 million ecosystem DAU mark? How do we start to build out like a larger and stronger ecosystem that more people can participate in? And how do we start to grow again? Basically, how do we start to grow the player base now that the fundamentals are a bit more sound? So we have a bunch of cool stuff coming with that. And I think what we'll do is we'll probably start to answer some questions. But before we get into all of that, I want to kind of dive into like a little bit of a 2024 review. We're going to publish all these numbers that I'm going to show with you guys publicly in the next week or two anyways. But I literally just finished doing this spreadsheet right before the AMA. So I still think it's kind of fun to share. So let me grab this really quickly. What I'm sharing with you guys right now are our financials basically month by month in the ecosystem. So what you can see here is you can see the amount of pixel that was spent each month, the like amount of US dollars in pixels spent each month, the amount of monthly users that we had, the amount of paying users per month that we had, the average revenue per user per month, the average revenue per paying user per month, the amount of rewards that we sent, and then the deficit too. So here are two metrics that I think are pretty exciting for us. It's this ARPU metric. So you can see February was a bit of a unique month when we originally launched Pixels. We did a pet mint, and that led to a lot of spend inside of that month before we really started dialing in the rewards. But then our ARPU started shrinking, and it was kind of at a bottom in August. Now, if you start to see the improvements that we made over the last few months when we brought on the head of monetization, we started focusing on more pixel utility, and we started focusing more on like spend per user rather than DAU. Our ARPU has been increasing a ton. It's increased 4x in the last like 4 or 5 months, which is great, and it's on track to increase even more.
What is ARPU for people that don't know?
Yeah, so ARPU is average revenue per user, and this is probably going to be the single best metric to look at when you look at like Web3 games and you want to evaluate performance. It's interesting because the markets still aren't very mature inside of Web3, right? And it's really hard to evaluate what Web3 games are actually building something that's fundamentally solid and what isn't. But these numbers and this transparency is the most important stuff. As you can see also, we had really big monthly deficits. Basically, we gave out way more rewards at the beginning of the year when we were talking about Pixel and Taskboard than what we are now. The cool thing is, we give out about $4 million of rewards a month right now, which is kind of crazy, right? But people spent 2.3 million last month, and this deficit is getting way down. It's a deficit that's actually quite good when it comes to net emissions. So that's another thing that you need to think about when you think about like token emissions and all of these unlocks. I see articles every now and then about giant pixel unlocks coming out. But you also have to remember that there's a lot of spend inside of the game. Last month was our highest spend month in terms of nominal pixel ever. It was just about 10.5 million pixel were spent last month. This month we're on track to do probably like 20% better, at least it looks like, especially with that wrap up of the holiday event. The wrap up of the holiday event was actually our second highest grossing revenue day ever. Besides, the only day that was higher is the pet mint that we did originally in February. But yeah, I know there's some number nerds. I know not all of you care about this stuff, but this is the important stuff. So I just share this stuff with all of you guys to kind of give you a picture of like where we're going. And yeah, this stuff is very important to be looking at. So we'll kind of give a detailed breakdown of what all these numbers look like, the progress that we're making towards play to earn. If you don't know what these numbers mean, this really wasn't for you. This is for the people that care. But yeah, we'll start to dive into that stuff too. So I know most of the people here on this AMA probably have questions about gameplay, all the other stuff that we're doing here. Like for example, Rick just asked when nerfing, wait, this is the reverse of what I thought you were saying. When nerfing lands, Unrug free to play.
Is this Rick from the Landowner channel or no?
Okay, so there's two things here, and this is actually pretty important in the focus. So we have been talking about two different things in this AMA already, right? I just showed you a bunch of numbers on the spend and monthly users inside of the game. Now our monthly users have gone down. I think our real monthly active users probably stayed a little bit the same, but we've also been churning some monthly active users. So the monthly active users have been going down, but we've been able to monetize users better. We've also been able to make sure that there's like a bigger and bigger player base of users that are spending Pixel too. And this is crazy stat. In November, we had almost 200,000 monthly active spenders. That's actually probably by far the highest in Web3 by an order of magnitude. I bet that's 10x higher than any other game in Web3, which is pretty cool. So that's probably the most important metric that I've been looking at when it comes to user base, because that's also the best proxy for real users, or ARPU, average revenue per user, is as well too, or that CAC payback metric that you might have saw on the right-hand side of that column. But there's basically two different people that we're going to start to think about as we're moving forward. It's the experienced players who've been playing the game for a long time. So a lot of people are asking when we're going to unrug land, right? The unrug land operation is basically all of these balance updates that we're doing. The key issue in the game economy right now is that there's no scarcity on the higher end of the resources, right? It's making it so that if you want to go and mine tier 3 and tier 4, it's not even profitable compared to like tier 1, tier 2 sometimes. That's what these game balance update changes that we're doing are targeted towards. Now, this is kind of targeted towards free to play, right? If you have free to play in your high levels and like very far progressed through the game, then hopefully the resources that you're earning or like mining inside of the game are a bit more worth the time. And this is hopefully flows back to land. That's the idea and the intention behind these updates. Now there's the other side of the coin too. How does Pixels get new users? Because if you want to start to earn Pixel inside of the game right now, it takes you a really long time to get your first Pixel. You might have to grind for like a month, which is actually kind of crazy, right? If we want to get new users, it's actually probably not the best way. The most magical moment inside of Web3 gaming is when you earn your first token. So that's what some of this smart reward stuff that we're working on is going to be about. But also that's a really large focus on the gameplay that we're doing as well too. So over Q1, what you're also going to see is we just brought somebody on full time to basically redo our onboarding experience and our new user experience and the free to play experience too. It's actually super cool. We brought on like 3 or 4 people from RuneScape. We basically have RuneScape's ex data science team. And I'm super excited to bring them on. Yeah, the person that's doing our onboarding did this for RuneScape. And yeah, that'll be the other side of the focus too. So how do we start to get the free to play, the free users, and like all these other users back? How do we create social and viral loops into the gameplay? And how do we start increasing that K factor again? We know how to do this because you guys clearly saw this in our play the airdrop. And we turned off a lot of those features like the referral links or the incentivized content creation until we thought we were a bit more fundamentally sound. Now our fundamentals are looking pretty good. When we actually start to send out rewards in here, I'll bring this up again because this is important, this sheet. If you look back to like February, right? Our CAC payback, basically the amount of rewards that we were giving out towards the amount of pixel that was getting spent was low. It was 28%. Now it's at 50%. So now we're a lot more confident that when we give out rewards for growth, that it's going to actually benefit the ecosystem, right? They're much more efficient and they're only getting better too. We haven't even done some of the stuff that we want to do. When we start to get smart task board out, which will hopefully come out, hopefully this month, we'll see. If not like early next month, I expect that number, that CAC payback to increase significantly. And then it's only going to get smarter and smarter. The idea is basically we want to get that CAC payback, that customer acquisition cost payback, the amount of rewards that we give, the amount of people spending over one. If we do that, we think we solve play to earn. But yeah, what that means is we also need to make sure that we have the, now we have to get the onboarding rails in so we can start pushing growth again too. But basically what I'm trying to say is it's a super exciting time because the fundamentals of Pixels are actually pretty sound now. And now we can start pushing more growth. So yeah, let's see if we have some questions because I just ranted a lot.
And we have a few. There was one related to, yeah, I thought this was a good question. What would you say was the strongest factor for the ARPU increase?
That's a great technical question. I love that. I can talk about this stuff all day. So yeah, when I think about different things inside of the game that are going to lead to better like outcomes and monetization, there's two things. So one, the bot prevention is actually extremely important with ARPU. If you have a ton of bots that are flooding your game and are not really participating in the economy in great ways, then that's going to lower your ARPU, right? So that means every single user, if you're ARPU, basically what it is, it's a very simple calculation, and there are some better calculations if you want to like go really into the weeds of monetization per user. Like you tend to look at cohorts and LTV per user. Like if a user started in February, what's the payback? But this is a simpler one that's easier to understand. So basically what it is it's you divide the amount of revenue by the amount of users. If you have a lot of users that aren't spending or are like net drains, right, that's going to decrease your ARPU. Also, if you don't have anything for users to spend on, like we didn't until pretty recently, that's also going to decrease your ARPU as well. So ARPU, how I think about it is one, the game needs to be good. The game needs to be fun. And then there needs to be things inside of the game that people want to spend on. So the game is getting better and better. These balance updates that we're going to be doing will hopefully make the game feel better, feel more fun. And then as we start to get out more content, more live ops events, which the strategy is going to change a little bit there, that should be getting better too. But yeah, I think about step function changes when I think about ARPU also. Like what are the features that basically increase our revenue per month by like $1 million a month? And if it doesn't do that, I think it's the wrong thing to build out. So coin purchasing was probably the single most important one. Basically what we did was we kind of just took share from the OTC market of coins. We brought that back into the ecosystem. That was a great update, great change, and props to the team for getting that one implemented well. There's some other cooler stuff that we're going to be doing too in the future. If I want to start to increase that number inside of the game and ecosystem, the core thing that we're going to have to think about is fun gameplay mechanics or that concept of chase content, right? So chase content is basically things that you want to use inside of a game or things that you want inside of the game that are not just pixel. So things like the boost statues were a really good example. Boost statues are like pretty desirable. You might want to spend some of your pixel to get them. They make your land way better, especially when we get these balance updates out. You're going to see how important these boost sculptures are because basically it's going to be like a huge nerf on production all over. The hope is basically we're going to start to deplete some of the excess resources inside of the game and make them a lot more scarce and rare, right? So these boosts are going to be a lot more important. Another good example of chase content is the pets, right? People really want to get the pets. They're willing to spend some pixel to go and try to get them, right? And then another good example of chase content too would be pickaxes and pixel dungeons. And we're going to start to experiment with that as well too. Yeah, pixel dungeons also, none of their data was included in that chart, but they've actually been performing pretty well. Maybe I'll bring up their stats really quickly too. But yeah, pixel dungeons, they just reopened, right? But already 556,000 pixel have been spent in pixel dungeons. And the really interesting thing is pixel dungeons is like net profitable for the ecosystem. So they have a CAC payback of like what 556 over 468, but it's a positive CAC payback. So what we're actually probably gonna do is we're probably gonna start thinking about pickaxes inside of the Pixels game. And the mechanism that we're probably doing that through is the merchant ships feature coming out soon. But basically, we can start to give you guys reasons to go out and like try to earn these pickaxes inside of Pixels. And it's still like a net positive win for the ecosystem, even if it takes like a little bit of pixel to get them, right? Or if it costs us a little bit of the pixel to like fund that.
And while we're talking about pixel dungeons, they are open again. I know I posted this in Discord yesterday if you're active there. So they are open again. And the really exciting fun part is that anyone can play today. There is no limit with reputation. Zero. You need 0 reputation to play today. I'm not sure how long it's going to last for. They said this was temporary. So if you haven't played yet, hop in. The link is in our minor announcements on Discord. I can also someone post it in the Twitter, or sorry, the YouTube live chat.
Yeah. So again, that game's been awesome. Yeah, how we're thinking about that game now, the performance is great. People like it. It's a fun game. I love it. I've been playing it a ton actually.
Me too.
And yeah, how we're basically going to approach the future of it is task board V2. We're going to redesign the task board, right? Imagine a task board where there's tasks besides just turning in pixel. Like we might go and say, hey, you get 10 pixel for going and playing pixel dungeons today. We're going to start introducing new tasks like that inside of the task board or ecosystem, right? It's a little bit of a cost to us, right? But because Pixel Dungeons, has positive ROI for the ecosystem, it kind of makes sense, right? If we spend 10 pixel as an incentive to have people go play, it might come back and like funnel to like positive ROI for the ecosystem, right?
Okay, let's hop back into questions. I was just reading some things here. Oh, I just brought this up. Guys, Pixels is like over 3 years old. Isn't that incredible? So lovely to see you here. Yeah, we were just reminiscing about this the other day. So shout out to everyone that's been here from the start. Oh my goodness. Crazy, crazy. Okay.
Okay, this is a good question also. So tier 3 and tier 4 items are too easy to get and inflation is making their prices too low. Need to find a way to solve this problem. Yeah, so this is exactly the thing that we're pushing an update out for. Yeah, somebody also said, oh no, that wasn't the one I meant to pull up. It was a mean comment, but I wanted to pull it up.
How do you feel about the style of this? I don't know if I like this new style that I've.
No, people like the font.
Do we? I mean, I changed it to, I don't know. It's all squares. It shows their image really big. Do you like your image being massive, guys? Do we like the square? Do we like the background? I was just fiddling around earlier today. Let me know in the comments. Okay,
so
back to Pixels.
We have a really big balance update coming in January. I wish it came out sooner, but it's going to come out in January. It has to come out. It's so important for this to come out so that we can get on to the next things. I've been talking about this for so long. I want out so badly. But basically, this balance update change is all centered around this. Again, it was a really big change, and this is going to change the way you guys play Pixels completely, basically. Every item is going to change in terms of like the rarity, the scarcity, and it's going to change Marketplace a lot. So the idea behind these changes are basically we want to make tier 3 and tier 4 items much harder to get. If you remember the old days of chapter 1, some of the really hard to get industries like apiaries were like very sought after. There was only so many of these resources getting put into the game every single day because they were so rare and limited. It's kind of the feeling that we want to start to reintroduce again inside of Pixels with these changes. Another good example is the trees, right? You guys had to like hunt for trees. We want to make tier 3 and tier 4 resources kind of like this again too. So we want to start to introduce rarity to these. We want to start to introduce scarcity. That also might mean they might be harder to find, harder for you to get. So there's a couple things going on with that. The cooldown timers are going to change. So basically, if you want to go and mine a mine, and somebody else has used it recently, you might not get access to it, right? Because it's been used recently. So that's going to be a weird change, but it's going to be a good one. There's going to be industry limits again. So you're only going to be able to place so many industries on your land at once. And that should really help. Then we've changed all the progression, the items, the XP, and the recipes as well too. So, and task board is going to change as well. There's going to be new tasks in the task board.
Okay. Oh, okay. I wanted to quickly address this. So, bro, change Spore Sports, guys. We're calling it Spore Sports. Time. It's 4 a.m. here. So we, when we first launched Spore Sports Season 2, we had set times. Then we updated them, and then we went back to the drawing board. We realized this isn't working, right? So actually, I think there was like 5 team members. We all sat down and we looked at the calendar. We looked at, we compared like 8 different time zones, and we made sure that each time zone had 2 comfortable times that they can play during the weekdays. So if you go to Discord, we posted the list of all of the times. So you should have 2 comfortable daytime hours within your time zone. And then Saturday, generally that time, given you're not working, which I understand people work Saturdays, but let's just say you're not, it should be an okay time for almost everyone in the world. So that's kind of how we plan this out. If you decide to get up to attend one of the sessions that is not meant for your time zone, that is your decision. But good for you. I'm impressed.
Yeah. Also, I'm gonna pull up. So I'm pulling up some images really quickly. I want to share some stuff.
Sure.
Here, why don't you pull up a question in the meantime?
Yeah. Okay. When Kiko recipe, I actually just pinged the team. I saw this comment and I immediately went to our Slack and was like, where is Kiko's potberry pancakes? So it will happen. I promise.
Okay, nice. So somebody asked about did you post a long form post about taking down the bot farm? I was interested in the detailed write-up, but I never saw it. So we don't like to post stuff about like what we're doing on bot prevention. What I'll say is we've had some good success in the last couple months. I want to share this screenshot because it's kind of funny. Yeah, these botters are getting a little sad, and they sometimes they send me DMs like this. But yeah, this is one farm that we took out the other day. They also were not very happy. They started flooding on Twitter. Sometimes you'll see people post comments in certain areas. They have kind of nothing to lose at a certain point. We know that a lot of the comments on our Twitter are all actually related to this farm. And we also got like a pretty good like bot farm as well. They had a Discord server that they basically had to shut down because we got all of their accounts. But yeah, there's been a ton of good positive things happening there. The team's been pretty solid on that. And yeah, we're also probably going to start to shift our strategy a little bit too. So now that we have like some better data science on the team, we're going to start to shift towards more of a data science approach. Not that we're not doing that now, but like a little bit slightly different of an approach for botting and banning moving forward.
Okay.
This is an interesting question, and I don't talk about token price, but I think this is a good thing to think about and like a good like philosophical question. Luke, do you think the price of the token in a play to earn game is important? So when I showed you guys these stats here, here's how I think about token price and how it actually relates to like what we're doing. So what token price does is basically it gives us a budget for user acquisition, right? And it's also kind of an anchor towards spend. What we see with spend of Pixel is spend is kind of when you go to spend Pixel, you think about it in US dollars. That's just how it works basically. So it's really best for us to denominate how well we're doing with token spend in US dollars for that reason. And also the same thing with user acquisition too. When we think about user acquisition, the amount of tokens that we're able to get out for rewards, the tokens go further when the token price is up higher, right? Like I like to think about it like an ad budget. So when Pixel performance is strong, we have more of a budget to go out and acquire more users. Now that's good and bad, right? Now we saw that when the token price was strong in the early days, that also led to some pretty big monthly deficits because the game wasn't really ready and the reward payback that we were having was quite low. Back in March, we only had about 28% of the tokens that we gave out coming back as spend inside of the game. And now we have about 50, and it's probably going to be 60 next month is what we're looking at right now, which is great, right? We're going to try to get it up month by month, but that's kind of how I view it, right? Like you want to kind of think about it in terms of user acquisition. And then if token price increases too, then you need to also make sure that you have even more syncs inside of the game and more monetization too. So what we actually have done historically is when token price is higher, we give out less tokens so that we're not creating such a deficit. Because we want to make sure that the deficit in terms of US dollars a month isn't too high. Somebody's
Okay,
saying,
new arena. Oh, sorry. I was just, yeah, I
well,
did just leak a little screenshot. So we have created another map and it is coming. And we have some ideas actually. Okay, I'm gonna leak ahead of time. Okay, this is a leak. I'm pulling a Luke. Are you guys happy? I'm pulling a Luke. We're in discussions with the team of different arenas will have different maps at the same time. So that might come next week. We're still in discussions on how it all play out, but stay tuned. That could happen. So that'll be really fun. Okay, go ahead.
yeah, okay. So we see a few things. I'm seeing a few questions or comments. Let me pull them up because yeah, basically there's always these questions that we see about the distribution of the rewards don't feel fair. There was probably like 5 comments like that. So this is what we're trying to fix with the smart token distribution. Basically, like what we want to do is we want to give tokens to the most dedicated players more often. And that's kind of what we're thinking about with the smart task board that we're going to be releasing. And also task board V2 is quite important as well. So yeah, this is why we talk about, or this is why I talk about data science all the time. And this is like the key problem that we're solving at Pixels, right? I like to think about rewards like running an ad, basically. So if I was to go out and advertise the game on Facebook, what I would have to go out and do is I would have to like get really clear with who I'm running this ad to, right? Like if I was building Candy Crush, for example, Candy Crush knows their ideal target demographic. They know if they start to advertise towards 30 to 50-year-old women in the United States who like these things, then it's probably going to lead to better return on investment for their advertising than if they, advertised to like really hardcore first person shooter demographics, like 20 to 25-year-old men, right? And it's a little bit more complicated than that too, because we're getting way deeper into the data science. Like this is also kind of akin to like what companies like Scopely do, where they get really good at figuring out when to give you like bonuses inside of the game in order to like retain inside of the game. So we're kind of combining like these two disciplines into this new tech called play to earn rewards. And basically we can figure out like how you've played the game, how you've used your tokens, if you're using them for like buying things like decorations inside of the game, if you're like really strong guild player, like all of this kind of stuff. And we're going to start to basically use some data science to distribute some of the rewards also. So yeah, that's kind of the idea there. So we want the rewards to feel fair. That's kind of the idea. We want to be smart about it too. We want to give them to the right people. So in order to do that, you need really good data science. It's kind of like you're building an ad network, but internally and bottoms up. And that's the core of what we're doing here at Pixels. So I talked a little bit earlier about like ecosystem and like platform and infrastructure. That's kind of going to be the infrastructure play for Pixels in the long run. We're going to re-release our white paper, basically do white paper. It's going to be like a third version of a white paper in January. And we're going to talk all about what this looks like, kind of our plan to open up some of this tech too. I really, really like the idea of turning this play to earn backend into more of a platform that other games use also, and having Pixel kind of be the infrastructure that powers play to earn across all games if they want it. Every game is going to need something like this. Basically, if you're a Web3 game and you're not building this, and we're really the only ones, Sky Mavis and Axie Infinity do this a little bit too, but besides us, we're the only two even thinking about this. Then you're going to hit a wall, is what I'll say. You're going to get really botted when it comes to rewards.
Okay, I know we kind of touched on this theme earlier, but I think it's a good one. So, will the game provide a path for free-to-play casual players to earn again? Right now, it seems very much catered to high spenders, despite casual gamers being your stated core audience.
Yeah, 100%. So that's what we think about when we think about like onboarding and like new user flow as well too. I think all the time about like what the most magical moment inside of Pixels is, and again, it's earning your first pixel, and then yeah, I think we've gotten a little too hardcore on the rewards too. They're a little too far through the progression where now it's like it's just too long to get rewards and it's really hard with the free to play user base too. This is hopefully what some of the smart rewards are going to be doing too. So here's a good example of like what I think is a great user that's not a crazy spender. If we give you Pixel and you're like just using it to go out and buy things like a pet or all like the upgrades on your land, you're just using it in game. Basically, there's like about 20% of our user base that gets Pixel, spends Pixel in game, and never withdraws it. That's an amazing user base. They're basically like net zero and free to play. But yeah, I would say that's an amazing type of user to start giving it to. And then those users are like very easy to give Pixel to because if they spend the Pixel that they use, it's not even like a hit to the ecosystem. We can start giving out more Pixel to other users too. But yeah, that's going to be the next line of experimentation, basically, and why I keep talking about data science so much. So the only way to do this is by being really smart. Like you basically need like an algorithm that decides who gives Pixel or who gets Pixel, right? And if you do it in the most efficient way, then more and more people can get Pixel. So that's kind of the idea and the thinking here. And that'll be the biggest thing that we start to like refine in 2025 and start to bring to the rest of Web3 also.
Okay, someone keeps spamming this message, so let's just address it. So our new reputation system is a smart system. It looks at so many different areas of like said user's account, right? It's not as straightforward as the old system. That means it's dynamic. That means it will go up when you do a lot of things and it will go down when you kind of stop doing a lot of things because older things will get sunset over time. So it's going to be moving up and down all the time. So I would say if you wanted to increase, participate, play the game more, farm more, participate in live ops events, do quests, all of that sort of stuff.
The game needs to be more friendly to new players ASAP. Agree. Again, we brought on a new person full time to completely just handle this. And we have a lot of ideas, basically. And then somebody also said something like, where did I see it? I think I just started. Oh yeah, somebody also brought this up. When pet care, that was last year. Even now, it was nothing, no update. I know, guys, this took so much longer than I wanted it to. I don't know what else to say about that. But yeah, basically, we can get pet care out, and that's kind of the second pillar that I was talking about with content after these balance changes come out. So what we also did is we brought on a new full-time person. They're going to be starting January 20th, and their whole job is just content. So where we've been bottlenecked right now when it comes to the company building is there's like a few different ways to view game building, right? We're working on core systems and core changes to game economy, right? And we're also going to start building out new features and new systems. Now, what we're also going to start to do is we have somebody that's coming in full time that's just going to be doing all this kind of content. So it's going to be a combination of events, but not just events. It's also things like pet care tasks. It's things like all those landowner updates that people had asked for that are really small, like easy wins, like changing surplus or like adding salt drops back, fixing coops and silos again, like all this kind of stuff. Basically, I'm trying to kind of fix this pipeline blocker here. We're bringing on they're starting January 20th. Their job is basically to do this stuff full time. I would agree that content has been getting out way too slow. One of the biggest issues with the game over the last 4 to 5 months. And yeah, I think we're fixing this now.
Okay, sorry, I think I keep freezing. Okay, make tools stackable. So they actually cannot be stackable because they degrade, right?
You share proof that there are 25 plus people working on pixels. I find it hard to believe with your speed of updates. There are, I promise. But no, I agree. Updates have been going too slow. 2025, biggest thing is like, basically, how do we figure out how to, and I think we've been doing this work already. Like, I think we have a systems in place now of how do we make sure that these changes don't block other changes. So basically, these game balance changes have blocked all the other progress that we need to get out. Besides, like, we've done some ecosystem things, like we've run on Pixel Dungeons, right? We've done events, right? But yeah, we need to remove those blockers. Updates need to be happening quicker. I haven't even talked to like core team about this yet, but we've been like scheming on the production side now. My goal is basically I want to make sure the team understands that speed of progress is going to be the most important thing for the next year. There's more games coming out, and there is finally competition. It's funny, I really have not felt like there's been much competition in Web3 gaming, but I'm starting to feel like it's coming now, which is good. We're pretty far ahead with a lot of the stack we've been building out, but we also got to prove to the space that we're still the best, right? So the most important thing for us is basically that we're making tangible progress in one of these core pillars every single week. So that might not mean that we get out a core system update every single week. Like, we might not be able to get like a chapter 3 out every week, right? But that doesn't mean that we can't get content out in a week that's not like a big gameplay update. That doesn't mean that we can't get out an ecosystem update, like, something like staking or something like something new there. That doesn't mean that we can't get out like a new big task board update or a data science update too. So basically, what we're going to be trying to do is make large progress, 10% progress in at least one pillar every single week. And if we can get that, we're positioned super well in 2025. And I'm going to be on the team's butts about that. It's so important that we think like that as a team, that we start to re-increase that speed. We won't succeed if we aren't shipping faster. I can tell you that. And I know that's going to be the biggest, that's like the biggest operational change I want to make this year.
Okay. Someone was asking if we're ending early today because Sports starts in 7 minutes. So I think we can end a couple minutes early to make it a little comfier for you guys to get there. We can leave the energy going for those that feel like hanging out. But if you want to head over to Sports, we can end a couple minutes early.
Here, I'm going through some more questions now. And if you see anything cool, bring them up also.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, as a landowner with 18 land, I'm not happy in game. We landowners need extra points. Since I know Pixel and total, I spent 10K, they got nothing. When I say why, your farm hands remove my CM. Okay, well, yeah, number one, Pixel's Discord. Like, you should always be able to say like any complaint that you have with the game. There's never an issue with that. Like, that's why we also bring up questions like this in the AMAs. I'm pro free speech for this kind of stuff. I'm also, you're not allowed to be an a-hole in Discord. So that might be if you're not being nice about it, then that might be why like some members go after it. So be farmer friendly. Like, I'm clearly very open to criticism, right? Like, that's the most important thing. When people are asking hard questions and like giving their feedback, that's a good thing. It's helpful for us. It means you also care. And yeah, what I said about farmland. So again, farmland I view as like the heart of Pixel's economy. If the Pixel's economy isn't feeling good, farmland's not going to feel good. So these balance changes are super important. I really hate coming up here every single week and saying they're coming, but they're going to be coming out in January. Again, I cannot not have the team have this ship in January is what I'll say. It's so late at this point. It's been so painful. We've been working on them since August. They have to come out in January. I don't care what stage they're at. They got to come out. If they're not fully ready, which I don't think they should be, I'm not trying to like talk down this update, but they just have to come out in January. So yeah, ideally that'll fix some of the stuff. Otherwise, we're also going to be starting to integrate farmland into other areas. So I saw a little snarky comment about staking and like, haha, they're really introducing staking as a last straw to pump their pixel before unlocks. So number one, unlocks are linear emissions over 3 years. But yeah, we want to time staking with governance. That's the more important thing. And the community treasury is actually quite large. I haven't checked it in a minute, but it was over 55 million pixel. I think it's probably more like 60 million pixel now. And I mean, yeah, governance is going to be pretty big, right? So with staking also, we're going to be kind of redesigning governance as well. I think we have some pretty cool novel ideas for staking governance and like the community treasury management. So stay tuned for that. We're hopefully going to get a new white paper out that talks about all this by end of January. And yeah, land, what I'll say is going to be, it's going to play a part in the governance.
Okay, we said we would finish a couple minutes early, so we can do maybe like one more quick question. Was there anything you wanted to address? I think we've answered it. This has been a good AMA. It's like really thorough, a lot of information.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. If you, I'm scrolling through some questions now. If you see a good one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we've addressed a lot of this already, which is awesome. Sorry if that's really loud. I don't know how to mute things. Did you bring this one up?
No, I didn't. But yeah, no, I would agree with that too. So, I mean, yeah, that's been some of the like talk we've had around live events. So here's the thinking moving forward for live events. We're going to change the strategy a little bit. I think the holiday event, Christmas event went pretty well when it came to sentiment. But I think it was also a little too complicated and like a little too aggressive in some regards too. So we actually also brought on somebody new to do live ops. Yeah, they're an OG in the space, like super great, like very well known in the industry to like basically lead the high level live ops strategy. And it's going to change a little bit basically. We're going to do more, I won't say formulaic style events, but they're going to be simpler to understand, simpler to participate in, and not as aggressive. And yeah, also this is like kind of something that we want to start introducing too. So I think Pixel Dungeons has really good velocity. I think about money velocity a lot, and what that is basically, what I would love to have happen in the game more is people spending and earning more. Here's a good example. Is there a difference between you spending 10 pixel, or sorry, is there a difference between you earning 10 pixel but spending nothing versus you spending 100 pixel earning 110? I think about that kind of stuff a lot, where it's like if we can start giving people pixel more and having them spend it more inside of the game too, but then keeping earnings around the same, that starts to get pretty interesting. Having more things that are optional to spend on. I think all of this is still backed by best gameplay possible, and that's the most important thing. But yeah, that's kind of the idea. So again, 4 pillars of pixels in 2025. Pillar 1, make the game better, core gameplay better. 2, content. Get all the content you guys have been asking for out and get a more consistent content treadmill. Also pair that with things like story, narrative, lore, and like onboarding as well too. 3rd pillar, play to earn tech. 4th pillar, ecosystem. So staking, more games that we're publishing, and more games using Pixel, more games using login with Pixels, and expanding that as well too. So yeah, I know you guys got to get to Score Sports, so I don't want to keep you too much longer.
Yeah,
but
we're right on the hour, so we'll wrap it up really quickly. Yeah, great AMA. Thank you all for your questions. This was really thorough, a lot of information shared, and yeah, I'm just gonna end it. Good luck in Sports. We'll see you there.
Thanks, everybody.